I want you to live the life you were meant to live. Some of you are not transitioning because you're okay with the life you have. And I'm telling you, when I walk out, I want to be an example of you can start from wherever and get to wherever you want to get to. That's what I'm asking you to do. What fuels you? The reason why you're so lazy is not because you don't have the ability. You're so lazy because your dream's so small.
Everybody sees people who look great, who have all the confidence, who have all the self-esteem, who have all this ability, who have all these things going for them, and they think they got it all figured out. They think it's easy for them, and that's one of the justifications that they tell themselves, all right? It's not like there aren't days I don't want to go to the gym.
You're waiting for all the situations to come together perfectly, and I'm telling you, you cannot wait. You got to start working right now.
The truth is, most of the days I don't want to go to the gym, but I do, even though I don't feel like it. It doesn't matter if there's a tornado, if there's a snowstorm, if there's a hurricane, if the fucking world is on fire, the job has to get done. It's about executing regardless of your emotions.
Take that first step towards greatness. It's very hard. That's the hardest step to ever do. That first step, right? That first step towards greatness is hard. What's a lot harder? When time expires in life, you look back on your life, knowing you could have been great. That's something you can't control anymore. Time's run out. But if you don't believe you can do it, don't even start the journey. It's too hard. It's a winnable, easy war. But if you don't believe it, then don't do it.
One of these times that you want to give up, yes. When you get into a tight spot and everything goes against you until it seems that you cannot hold on for a minute longer, never give up then, for that is just the place and time that the tide will turn. If you've decided that this is what you want to do, you've got to become courageous to stand up within yourself, to face it and step forward. Every single day of my life, I feel like giving 100. Every single day. Somebody said yesterday, E.T., you gave 120. What you gonna do tomorrow? I said, I don't know. Feel 140. I don't know. I don't have days where I don't feel like it. Why? Because I'm counting on me. My wife's counting on me. My son's counting on me. I don't have days to waste. People that are hungry are willing to do the things today others won't do. In order to have the things tomorrow, others won't have.
One of the things you see with people all the time is that maybe they're trying to stumble forward towards their ideal, as poorly defined as it might be, but then they're afraid, right? They're afraid about what they might encounter, and that stops them, because fear does stop people. It freezes you like the prey on them once. So people move ahead, but then they get afraid, and then they stop moving ahead. And that's not so good, because negative emotion is a really powerful motivator. So we're more motivated by negative emotion than positive emotion.
And so they go through life holding back on life, not understanding this also, that what you hold back from life, life holds back from you. So most of us go through life, ladies and gentlemen, not giving, and we're cheating ourselves, and you're also cheating life.
I tell people the strongest force in the whole human personality is this need to stay consistent with how we define ourselves.
What you're doing today is connected to the future.
I've known from living that if you quit whatever you're trying to accomplish, if you quit, whatever you were trying to accomplish can never happen. There's not even a remote possibility. If you quit, there is no chance of it popping back up again, coming back later. Quitting is guaranteed, Phil.
If you want to make your dream become reality, the people that are running at their dreams know that it's possible that you can live your dream.
And still there's this nagging problem. This is not how my story is supposed to end.
Success, guys, is a very, very lonely road, man. Along that road, you're not going to see too many friends. You're gonna see your shadow most often. See, the thing is, for many people, they've tried the same path you're on, and they failed.
But failure is one of the most important things you could ever have, as far as like the motivation to do things differently. One of the reasons why I'm good at work is because I've been a worker in the past, and I know the feeling of failure.
It is going to take an inhuman amount of work. You're going to have to be prepared to break yourself in half. You are going to have to learn more than anyone has ever learned. You're going to have to push yourself harder than anyone has ever asked you to push yourself before. You're going to go way beyond your breaking point. You're going to run until you vomit. You're going to study until you fall asleep. You're going to push and push and push, and then you're going to push more. And when you hit the limit, you're going to push again beyond that. You're going to force yourself to an adaptation response.
It's just important for people to understand that complaining has no value. And if you complain about not having enough money, work more.
You learn more than the cost. All your life has that moment of a downtrodden. There is more wisdom and knowledge, instincts, intuitions, discernment, and instincts that are developed in the middle of a crisis.
Your gift, not your education. You're going to get an education, that's nice. But if you don't use your gift, that education only going to take you so far. I know a lot of people got degrees, man, that you ain't even using. It's your gift. But the only way for you to soar is you got to jump. You got to take that gift that's packed away on your back. You got to jump off that cliff and pull that cord. That gift opens up and provide the soul.
The hardest walk you can make is the walk you make alone. That is the walk that builds your character the most.
The reason why I've been telling you don't be average, don't be good, try to be great, then be phenomenal. The reason why I told you that is because, listen to me, you gotta understand. You have to understand, if you stay average and you stay good, you'll never get to where you're trying to get to.
Anything you work hard to accomplish, anything you struggle over to make it happen,
and to exclude all others. But until you can do that, you're never going to be able to develop the skill set that you're going to need to perform, because here is the reality. But the only way to do that is to get that good. And the only way to get that good is to pick one thing and go at it with everything you've got. It isn't about what you think you should have to put in. It isn't about the amount of energy and drive that you think is reasonable.
look at your struggle. And wherever you're struggling, the struggle is not because the universe won't provide for you.
You're not where you are because you don't have an opportunity. Keep focusing on your dream. Keep going after the dream, because that's what true success is. I will not give up. I will not surrender. I will not quit. This is your year. Are you hearing me?
The struggle is an internal job. The struggle is you're trying to overcome previous programming that prevents you to go to that destination.
A friend of mine he runs a marathon. He said, when he's running the 26-mile marathon, he said, let's say that hypothetically, that 18th mile is the wall. And you're saying to yourself, I can't do it. I can't do it. And you just keep on and you keep on and you keep on. It seems like you're moving at slow motion. And then eventually when you break through that 18-mile wall, then you know it's like done and you're on automatic and you glide on in. And you know it's there. You know you're going to get to the finish line.
Albert Einstein once observed that the most fundamental and major decision that you have to make in your life is this: do I live in a friendly or a hostile universe? Which is it?
poor thinking habits keeps most people poor. Not poor working habits. Most people work hard, but they don't think hard. The mind is like a factory, a mental factory. And whatever you think about all day long pours ingredients into this mental factory. And that's what builds the economic, social, financial fabric of your life. As you think, so you become.
When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. I am whole, I am perfect as I was created.
There's only two types of people in this world. There's people who lose, and there's people who win.
Use your willpower to start the process. Anybody can change. You don't have to repeat last year. Clean up the errors. Invest it now in the next year. Watch it make the difference.
If you can get up before the rest of the world is awake, right? Before the enemy's awake, you can get so much done. You're so much more productive.
When you're here, you've been knocked down my life. That's when it's time to hit back.
It is hard to be a loser. It is hard to be a winner. Today I want you to make a decision to flip the switch inside of you from surviving to winning. It's time to win.
Think about what you want. Think about where you're heading and understand that along the way there's going to be huge moments of progress, huge moments of growth, huge moments that you're going to go, oh my God, I can't believe I actually come through this. I can't believe I got past this point. That all comes from you stepping into the uncomfortable. That comes from you stepping inside your fears. You can't get those moments of progress and growth without first initially stepping into the unknown, stepping into the uncomfortable. This is what you should be chasing.
I understand people that strive for more. I understand people that want something bigger and better. But at the same time, if you allow yourself to only think about what you don't have, to only be striving for something more, that obsession will begin to overtake you. It will begin to corrode you. As Thomas Edison said, our greatest weakness lies in giving up. The most certain way to succeed is to always try one more time.
And one of the things that you've got to do is you've got to watch your inner conversation and discipline your thinking and your imagination, because if you don't, your mind will take you on a wild trip.
Do you let it be something that moves you backwards? Or do you recognize at least it was momentum, at least you were going, at least you tried, at least you were putting your energy into something, at least you were willing to take a risk? And that's where most people fail. They're never willing to put themselves out there because they don't see the momentum, they don't see the forward movement, they only see the failure.
Look, as best we know it, we have one life. In it, you have to trust your own voice, your own ideas, your honesty, your vulnerability, and through this you will find your way. You do not have to be fearless. Just don't let fear stop.
I know what the grind is like. I was homeless. I ate out of trash can. Now, go on the internet right now. I'm one of the #1 speakers in the world.
And so if instead of rejecting it because your feet must stay planted on the ground, remember that in keeping your feet on the ground, that's the moment of action. That's the moment of doing something about it. That's the moment of seeing the possibilities and then moving, doing something, making it real. You've chosen to stand still. Instead of that, convince yourself that you should be moving. Go do what you know you're destined to do.
And for me, I'm not some nasty God-given guy. I don't have a great bit of talent in anything. So what got me through horrible times was the dark side. Was I created, my name is David Goggins. I created Goggins. Goggins is the guy that can take anything you put in front of him. You want to break my legs? So be it. I have a way of going to a place like I did in that race where all the pain and suffering that they put on top of me in Hell Week, I will reverse that pain and suffering and I will take your soul. So every instructor that put me through Buds, my job, what drove me was I wanted you to go home that night after you beat the living shit out of me and I smiled in your face. I wanted you to feel worse than I did and you were going home to a nice warm bed with your wife or your kids and a nice meal and I was still out there in the grip, suffering for another 100 hours. I wanted you to think about me knowing that I'm comfortable being very uncomfortable. And I want you to think about when you went through Hell Week, how uncomfortable you were and how bad you wanted to quit. Knowing I'm not thinking that way. So the dark side is something that I've designed. It's an evil place I can go that very few things can hurt me. I use the hurt you're trying to put on me. I flip it upside down and use it. You trying to use it for kryptonite? No. It's power pillars for me. I'm using it for strength.
And I stopped being a victim. I stopped saying I've got to wait for good things to happen to me. And I said I'm going to ride. I'm going to fight. I'm going to work. I'm going to press forward. I'm going to learn. I'm going to do everything in my power. Every single day, I'm going to do everything in my power to become a victor and not a victim. We have, as humans, we have something that no animal has. And what it's called is imagination. And what imagination allows you to do, it allows you to see it before it actually happens. What I mean by that is I need you to go 10 years into the future, 20 years into the future, and I need you to see yourself actually becoming the person you want to be. You gotta live in the forward. Block the whole world out. Put some music on, some classical music, right? The piano if you need to. I don't know what you need to listen to, but I want you to take 30 minutes. Go in the closet. Go in the basement. Go to the library. Go into a room alone. And I want you to take 30 minutes and I want you to imagine. I want you to take 30 minutes and I want you to live in the forward. See, the problem is I'm talking to some of you guys. The problem that you're having is you're living in the future and you live in the present. And you keep talking about the mistake. You keep talking about the past. You keep talking about your trial. You keep talking about your situation. And I want you to know that everybody that's ever been great, everybody has had an obstacle to overcome. They've had a barrier that they had to climb. There is no individual who's ever reached success that he didn't have to go through an obstacle or a barrier to get there. I need you to live in the future. I need you to go in your future every single day. I need you to go in your future. I need you to see what you're going to be. Listen to me. What you are to be, you're now becoming. And so you got to use your imagination. And your imagination has to take you beyond the pain. Your imagination has to take you beyond the trouble. Your imagination has to take you to the next level. We have to see ourselves there long before it happens. The second tool is we got to embrace faith. I have to have faith to believe that the thing that I see 10 years from now, 20 years from now, that one day that thing is going to be successful. When I was homeless at 16, I could have quit. When I was homeless, I could have given up. There are many days that I thought about committing suicide, but I said to myself, just keep imagining, keep thinking, keep seeing what you're not now, but what you're going to be. Sometimes it's going to be hard. Sometimes you're going to look all around you and nowhere do you see success. Nowhere do you see anything that remotely looks like success. But you got to embrace. Number two, you got to embrace the faith. You got to believe that although it's not happening right now, if you keep pressing, if you keep pushing, guess what? One day is going to be your day. That's right. I need you to say that with me. One day is going to be your day. Embrace the faith. You got to be able to see it and believe it, that when there's no evidence around you, when there's no evidence around you, when you got pain in your life, when you're tired, you feel like giving up and you feel like quit. When you look around you, you don't see anything that looks anything like success. You got to embrace the faith and believe that one day gonna be my day. But one day can't be your day if you give up. If you quit, no day will ever be your day. I'm telling you, you'll never be what you're supposed to be. You'll never have what you're supposed to have. You'll never ball out until you got a purpose for why you do what you do.
Beginning to embrace that. It's possible. I'm blessed and highly favored. I've got a lot going for me. I got some good stuff in me. And it's possible that I can bring my greatness out here in the universe. That I can do what I want to do. It's possible I can write my own book. I can have my own business. I can take the trip and travel around the world. It's possible. I can bounce back from adversity and reinvent my life. It's possible. Regardless of where I am, the things can get better for me.
I want you to fail forward. That's right, I said it, fail forward. I want you to get to a place in your life that every mistake you make, every setback you get, right, every obstacle that you don't overcome, every barrier you can't climb. I don't want you to give up, but I want you to fail forward. You gotta learn from your mistake, that every mistake you make, you fail a class, get back up and try again. You lose a job, get back up and try again. You put all your money in investment, get back and try it again. If you start a business and it don't work, don't stop, don't quit. Fail forward. Learn from each and every one of your mistakes. Don't quit, don't give up. Listen to me, don't quit, don't give up. If it gets hard, you tired, not around yourself. You double tired if you have to, but you hold on. But I want you to know, you will never reach your goal. You will never reach your dreams if you don't use your imagination. So when you fail that class, don't drop it. When you fail that class, don't just stop going. You going to the end of that class. You going to the end of that class, and you going to the end of that class, and you going to the end of that class. Because I want you to know something. When you start that class over the next semester, you won't be starting from scratch. You won't be starting from the bottom because you were all the way up here when you quit. And now all you got to do is go a little further and a little further. So keep reaching, keep climbing. I need to be driven. Because somebody said they were bored, and I'm feeling you. You're bored. I'm feeling you. I got a 3.5 after I got kicked out of college because I came back 3 years later. And people say, how did you get a 3.5? I got a 3.5 when I came back to college after getting kicked out because I had my first child. And when I came back to school, I wasn't going to school for school. I was going to school for my boy. My granddaddy was a high school dropout, my daddy, and I was a high school dropout. And I figured if I at least graduated from college, then he would have to graduate from high school. I would be an example. So when I came back with a vengeance. I was driven by a purpose. You got to be driven. What are you driven by? The people who blew up, they blew up because there was something that was going wrong in their life, and they took that pain and they turned that pain into something. You will never, ever go to class, and you guys are spoiled. Do you know what it's like to go to class in Michigan in December? It's 10 inches of snow and they don't close the school, and it's minus 10 degrees and you still got to go up and go to class. How do you go to class when it's 10 degrees and 12 inches of snow? You know how you do it? Because you know your mama broke and she working 2 jobs and taking out a loan for you to go to school. I laugh at kids whose parents are broke and they up there partying like everybody else. Your mama broke. I'm driven. I want my daughter to know what it's like to have. I'm driven. I'm driven. When I was at the Michael Jordan Classic the other day and I opened up that whole conference, people like, E, you speaking at the Michael Jordan Classic. How do you feel, bro? You made it. I said, I'm hungrier than I've ever been before. Now I want to speak to the Pistons, the Knicks, the Boston Celtics. I'm driven now. I'm hungrier than I've ever been before. Why? Because I tasted it now. I want your dream to be so clear that when you wake up in the morning, all you got to do is step in your dream. And the first step for me was seeing something I was not before I was.
There's nothing I cannot be. Nothing I cannot do. Nothing I cannot have. There exists no limits in my mind.
You can do it. Where you are is temporary. You will not be there for the rest of your life. I don't care what happens in your life. I don't care what it looks like. I don't care where you are. Every single day you wake up, if you're going to have energy, if you're going to have passion, if you're going to have drive, every day you wake up, you got to start with that vision. This is a mentality. Like, you got to live this. You got to eat this. You got every single thing you do is not a cute saying. It is a way of life. It's got to possess everything you need. It's got to own. Only those who risk going too far can possibly find out how far one can go. I want to see how far I can go. I want to see what I can accomplish. I want to see what I can do, what I can be, what I can have. I want to see. I don't want to see what I think I can do. I don't want to see what I think is possible. I want to see what my life would look like if I didn't count the cost and if I was willing to go further than anybody else was going to do. You gotta do what you was called to do. You gotta do what you were born to do. You gotta do what works for you, because if you do what works for you, you're gonna blow up. It's in your DNA. It's who you are.
Right now, are you in fear? Every moment of your life, you're in fear. No.
I am deeply motivated by fear.
There are a lot of people who are biting their fingers in fear that they might lose their jobs. But there are few people who have decided within themselves, I'm going to make it. Some people aren't waiting to be cut. Some people are moving on their own because they feel within themselves, I've got what it takes to make it.
You will overcome that fear. But the hard part is, you gotta take that first step.
Words determine the way you think determine the way you feel. If you feel depressed, you gotta back up and find out what you're thinking about. Because thoughts of heaviness and depression determine how you feel.
They're not afraid about tomorrow because of how they see themselves, because of what they feel that they deserve, because of what they feel that they can create for themselves. Because these people have decided, as they look at the future, as they look at themselves, there's a way. Where there's a will, there's a way for me. They begin to create a way out of no way. And when you have that kind of consciousness, when you have that kind of spirit, nothing can stop them.
How many times have you looked at your life and said, man, if only I knew then what I know now, I live my life so differently, so is it not possible then that the life you are living now, you would be living differently if you began to develop an awareness that you do not currently have?
It's not going to be easy. There are moments when you're going to doubt yourself. There are rough times are going to come, but they have not come to stay. No matter how bad it is, or how bad it gets, you've got to make it your personal business to make it happen.
So how a man thinks in his soul, how a man thinks in his mind, determines how his life will work out. So the renewing of your mind will help you transform your life.
There's a lot of fear, but I understand what the emotion of fear is. It's a subconscious trigger that causes this feeling that I don't like, and it's a go signal for me, not a stop signal for me.
So if it's hard, then do it hard.
Everybody doesn't win.
And the sooner you wake up to that biology is ruthless, man, then you get a little fear. And when you get a little fear in you, start listening. Because if you're truly afraid, you listen. Let a little fear come in and drive you a motive.
Put yourself in a position where you can't retreat, where it's do or die, sink or swim. Here's what you'll find out. You'll develop incredible swimming skills. You'll find yourself stroking unlike you've ever seen before. Through the inspiration of desperation, you'll become more creative than ever before.
You can't get to the destination just because you want it. just because you saw it, just because you like it, just because you need it. If you just keep on walking with God, God has a way of making everything all right.
Number one, I want you to never be afraid to make a decision. Be decisive. Don't be afraid to fail. Be fearless. Number two, I want you to remember the power of you. You have to act on your passion. You have to act on your inner drive. Don't let those feelings stay inside you. You got to know what to do with them. You got to know how to make them work in order to get what you want. Don't keep it inside.
This is not for everyone. This is not for the faint at heart. This is for people who have goals and dreams that they want to achieve.
I'm wondering this morning if there's anybody here that life has handed you something that you didn't expect. The one thing I can tell you for sure is that nothing is for sure. Life will often disrupt what you expected. That just as soon as you have it down in a nice, neat little box of how you think it's going to go, it will never be what you expected it to be. So you got to get used to being a little disappointed. You got to get used to being a little bit shocked. You got to get used to walking into situations and being flexible and adjustable. Because if you are not flexible, you cannot survive.
I'm not interested in your reality right now. I want you to get back to your dreams. I want you to get back to your goals, because no matter what is happening in life, you got another 30 years, another 40 years, another 50 years, like you can't get stuck on. Look, I want you to look at your goals. I want you to ask yourself this question. Do you know what it takes to make that happen? Do you know what it takes? Look, the only thing it takes to go from where I went to, a homeless, high school dropout, sleeping in abandoned buildings, eating out of trash cans. I went from being a high school dropout, getting a GED, to having a PhD. Listen to me. The only thing it takes is knowing what it takes. So one day I woke up and was like, okay, stop talking about what you don't have. You need to know what you don't know so you can get to where you're trying to get to. So being successful is not who you are, it's what you know. So I need to get a different relationship to knowledge. You have been given information. You are this close to making every dream you will now happen. Why? Because you have been taught by the best of the best. You have been taught by the best of the best. You've been taught by people who've been doing this for years. You've been taught by people who love you and care for you. People who are giving you information that you're not going to get randomly on your own. And so you are this close to your dreams and goals. So I have to ask you a question. You have the information. Now, what are you going to do with it?
Now, the self is everything you could be across time. So imagine that there's you and there's the potential inside you, whatever that is, And potential is an interesting idea because it represents something that isn't yet real, yet we act like it's real. Because people will say to you, you should live up to your potential. And that potential is partly what you could be if you interacted with the world in a manner that would gain you the most information, right? Because you build yourself out of the information in the Piagetian sense. But it's deeper than that too, because we know that if you take yourself and you put yourself in a new environment, new genes turn on in your nervous system. They encode for new proteins. And so you're full of biological potential that won't be realized unless you move yourself around in the world into different challenging circumstances, and that'll turn on different circuits. So it's not merely that you're incorporating information from the outside world in the constructivist sense. It's that by exposing yourself to different environments, you put different physiological demands on yourself all the way down to the genetic level, and that manifests new elements of you. And so one of the things that happens to people, and this is a very common cultural notion, is that you should go on a pilgrimage at some point to somewhere central, and that would be, say, like the Rock in the Pride Rock in the Lion King, because you take yourself out of your dopey little village, and that's just the little bounded you that everyone knows and that isn't very expanded, and then you go somewhere dark and dangerous to the central place, and while you do that, you have adventures, and they toughen you and pull more out of you, like partly because you're becoming informed, which means information. It means you're becoming more organized at every level of analysis, but there's also more of you too.
Look at your life right now. If you want to keep on getting what you're getting, keep on doing what you're doing. You've got to be willing to change your ways. Your life is working. If you don't like what you have produced, you're a director, you are the star, you wrote this script. If you change your ways, I'll give you far more than you ever lost.
Greatness is not this wonderful, esoteric, elusive, godlike feature that only the special among us will ever taste. You know, it's something that truly exists in all of us. It's very simple. This is what I believe, and I'm willing to die for it. Period.
As Harun Yehya noted, I always wonder why birds stay in the same place when they can fly anywhere on Earth. And then I ask myself the same question. As Mark Twain put it, the secret of getting ahead is getting started. And that's where people get stuck. You're literally like the bird. You could fly anywhere you want. You can go anywhere you want to go. And look, I know you've got a litany of excuses, and all of them are valid. You've got a job you can't just leave, or you don't have a job and you don't have the money. Your family is in one place. It's the only thing that you've ever known. You only speak one language. You've never traveled before. You don't have a passport. You can't afford the gas money. There are 1,000 real reasons not to go. But the truth is that none of them matter. The truth is, if you want to build something in your life, then you have to remember what Mark Twain said. You have to get started, because at the end of the day, that is literally the only thing that's holding you back. You're not moving. And once you get the simplicity of that, once you understand that you could act right now, you could say all the excuses. You could stop making them. You could stop giving in to them. No matter how valid they are, no matter how real they may seem, you can finally decide that you're going to get up and move, that you're going to create that momentum, that you're going to take a step, that you're going to make the demand, that you create momentum, that you get something done, that you find an answer, or as Hannibal said, that you're going to find a way or make one. If you have to carve through fucking rock, do it, because humans before you have done that. So I ask you, why doesn't the bird fly wherever it wants to go? Because that's all it's known? Because that's what's safe? Because that's what's comfortable? Or because it's a dumb fucking animal? What do you want to be?
Only those that can see the invisible can do the impossible.
If this isn't the life you want to live, do something about it.
You have to be able to see what doesn't exist in order to be able to pull off or achieve what in most people's minds seems to be impossible. Only those that can see the invisible, being able to see what's not there. What is your vision? What is your idea? What was that God-sent dream? Only those that can see the invisible can do what seems to be impossible.
The road to success is through commitment and through the strength to drive through that commitment when it gets hard. And it is going to get hard, and you're going to want to quit sometimes, but it'll be colored by who you are.
and more who you want to be. Some of y'all have a habit of dreaming within your bank account. Some of your thoughts and visions are so big and so outlandish and so powerful and amazing, you'll end up talking yourself out of that dream from saying, I can't afford that. That when people laugh at your visions and ideas, it's only because they don't have their own visions and ideas around what they're supposed to do with their life or their careers. People that don't have any dreams for themselves, they tend to be dream killers. People that don't have their own visions, they become vision killers. They want nothing more than to talk you out of your own visions. They don't have dreams for themselves. They don't have any hopes. They're hopeless. They're uninspired, unmotivated. They have no dreams. They have nothing that they're ambitious about. They'll laugh at you. They'll call you names because they have no dreams. They have no hunger for success. They don't have an appetite. They don't want it. I want to win so bad. My hunger and appetite for success is intimidating. It scares the shit out of people. I come up with new visions and ideas every single day. And people around me say, slow down, stop. You're doing too much. Your appetite is too big. I can't help myself. I want to build, I want to win. But I want to remind you to continue to dream and dream big.
When there is no enemy within, the enemy outside can do you no harm. When you refuse to allow any doubts in your own mind, then no doubts from others will ever cloud your judgment. When you create a strong mind, there can be no other that will defeat you with their words or with their judgments. When you believe in you, you need no other to believe in you. Only you can decide if others' opinions become reality or you create your own thing.
Self-respect, self-worth, self-love. All starts with self. Stop looking outside of yourself for your value. Stop looking outside of yourself for your value. I'm telling you to love yourself. Self-love, self-care, self-respect, self-worth, self. Stop worrying about what everybody else is thinking about you. What are you thinking about you? Stop worrying about what everybody else want to do. What do you want to do? It all starts with self. Stop looking without and start looking within. Look, come on. You want your world to be better. You want the world around you to be better. Look, you got to look in the mirror and you got to love you. Say positive stuff to you. Be with you. Why are you scared to be alone? Be with you. Love you. Enjoy you. Because if you can't love and enjoy yourself, and if you can't take care of yourself, nobody's going to take care of you. Remember, small steps, great distance. Now you know. Let's go.
You must have, as a basic principle, the determination to achieve excellence in your various fields of endeavor. When you discover what you're going to be in life, set out to do it, and to do it well. Set out to do it as if God Almighty called you at this particular moment in history to do it.
Any idea that's held in the mind, that's emphasized, that's either feared or revered, will begin to clothe itself in the most convenient and appropriate form available.
Those steps for success are infinite. They are infinite. You cannot count them. It doesn't matter how long you've been doing it. Those steps are constantly shifting. You don't know if they're there
Sometimes you have to trust that the next step is going to be there when you can't even see it. And sometimes when you step on that step, you go right into quicksand. But you got to be able to pull yourself back out of it again. So everybody's looking for these steps, and there are no steps. Those steps never end. And you just can't climb steps. Sometimes you got to crawl up those steps, and you finally get to the top, and everything shifts at the bottom again.
Crazy.
You may get to the top and you're like, I'm here. And then you look back down and you look up again, you're actually on the first step. You're on the first step again. And where you thought was the top is not even the top. It's the beginning. Wow. It's literally the beginning of where you're supposed to be.